Well, in just a few days, you will be voting, if you haven't done it yet, in the California primary. And we have a candidate here today running for Congress, the 45th District, of course. And I'd like to welcome Katie Porter.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Great to have you here today. A lot of candidates running this year in a couple different races. And sometimes it's hard to wade through everyone. So it's great to have the candidates on. And first, let's talk about, I always like to get to know the person, just a little bit about your background, why you're running now. What are you currently doing?
Yep, I'm a law professor at the University of California, Irvine. I was recruited when they founded the law school by our dean, Erwin Chemerinsky.
Sure.
And I love teaching at UCI. I specialize in consumer protection, and I've done a lot of work on helping families who were cheated by predatory lenders, a lot of work on abusive credit card fees, the problems of student loan debt. I live in Irvine, and I have 3 great kids that go to Irvine Public Schools.
So why are you running? What was the catalyst for that? It seems like you got a pretty good gig right now.
Yeah, no, I love my current job, but I've also always in my work been able to help people and make policies that help people. So I worked with Elizabeth Warren on the problems of credit card fees. I worked with then Attorney General Kamala Harris for 2.5 years as the monitor for the state's foreclosure prevention program.
Okay.
And so in that role was able to help over 11,000 families right here in Orange County avoid eviction or foreclosure, stay in their homes if they were upside down on their mortgage loan, kind of get them straightened out. So I've always done a lot of public service.
All right, very good. So let's get into some of the issues. And I think, you know, there's like, although I have a few here that listed on your website, there's always a few top ones that people like to talk about. And let's talk about one of the first ones, and health, obviously, the American Health Act, Medicare, it all kind of rolls in. What is your take on that, and what are some of the ways that you see things? Because in many ways, what we called Obamacare has helped people, but in many ways it has not, and has not turned out to be what people thought it would be.
Yeah, no, I think the Affordable Care Act was a definite step in the right direction, but I think we can see that our healthcare system is still broken. The status quo is just not working for so many people. And we see it with people who are not able to afford their out-of-pocket maximums. And so they may have insurance through their employer, but their out-of-pocket maximum may be $15,000 or $20,000, an amount that they simply couldn't afford if they were to have a serious health problem. We see it with what's going on with Medicare, with rising premiums on Part B, with the refusal to tackle the way that pharmaceutical companies are gouging seniors in Medicare Part D. And so I'm a believer that we need to have bold solutions to our healthcare system. I think that a Medicare for all approach, combined with standing up to pharmaceutical companies and making sure that our government can negotiate fair drug prices. Other countries around the world pay, and we should be able to pay them too.
Okay, and that was one of the things that seemed to have been the failure of our current system. They didn't tackle the underlying problem, the first part of that pyramid, so to speak, which was the drug prices. They just kind of passed that over.
And that's the fastest growing part of healthcare costs. When we hear about rising healthcare costs, it's really not coming from our providers. They're actually working in difficult conditions. They're having to spend more and more of their time on paperwork, on administrative matters, on doing battle with insurance companies in order to get their patients the care that they need. So we don't take money in our campaign from big pharmaceutical companies because we feel like it's really important that everyone know that when I go to Washington, I am very serious about tackling this problem. It really is a life or death problem for many people to be able to afford the drugs that they need, whether it's to battle cancer or to treat a chronic condition like hypertension or diabetes.
Okay, what about the fact that some people may say, you know, why should I pay for others? And in other words, when you compare other countries, you have Canada, and the reason Canada is they actually have less of a population than California. And yet, I think it was last year I read a report that the average family puts out $2,000 Canadian, so it's not that much, 2,000 Canadian a month for medical costs. Now this would be taxes taken out, they're out of pocket, that sort of thing. And they do wait longer for many different procedures than we do. How would you tackle that here when we have a population of, Canada has 35 million, we have 350 million. We have people of all different levels, all different mindsets. you know, how do you ask, okay, you're paying your way here, well, why should you pay for those people over there?
So I think about Medicare and as a program that is about all of us. It's our collective commitment to each other. So I pay Medicare taxes today. People who are 23 or 24 years old getting their first job are paying into Medicare. And so it's a system that is designed to be there for all of us. Right now it's there for us only when we hit a certain age. But the fundamental idea that this is a collective social problem, that healthcare is something that affects all of us. So if I'm running a company, I'm a small business owner, and I can no longer afford to pay for health insurance for my employees, that's going to affect my ability to recruit employees. We have a lot of large corporations that have entire departments devoted to doing nothing but administering benefits. You see California has hundreds and hundreds of people that aren't working on educating our kids, but they're working on figuring out healthcare. And so I think eliminating a lot of those layers, taking out the middleman. We see it with pharmaceutical companies. These so-called pharmacy benefit managers are actually just standing between patients and their pharmacists in getting the drugs that people need to be healthy.
All right, speaking of health, women's health, I know this is a big issue for you. And part of that is the women's right to choose, Planned Parenthood. Again, they're different, obviously, in this country. It's very divided on some of those things. Not necessarily women's health per se, but what it has to do with the women's right to choose and particularly Planned Parenthood.
Yeah. No, I think that this is an issue in which Californians believe that we've made up our mind in this country about this. And for me, it really comes down to, and this is how I talk about it, it's an issue of freedom. That's what this country is about. It's about the freedom to make your own choices. And so for me, making sure that we don't punish Planned Parenthood, remove their funding. They do not just women's health care, they care for men, and they do basic health care. They do physicals, they do wellness checkups. And so making sure that we're not turning this into a lightning rod issue, when in fact, for Californians, we believe that women should be able, by a wide majority, that women should be able to make their own choices with their families and with their doctors. And so I think our government has a whole heck of a lot of things that it needs to be working on and solving, whether it's tackling our deficit, working on improving relations with foreign countries. And I think taking away a woman's right to choose is not where Orange County families, what they want our government to be doing.
Okay, let's talk about the tax bill. Now, a lot of us won't really know until a year from now how it's going to affect us because we're right in the middle of it right now, particularly middle-class families and all. But in some cases, it seems to have done some things that might have been good or may have been good. And a good example of this is, I know Tim Cook, CEO of Apple, they are, I don't know if they've done it yet, but they're bringing over billions of dollars that they've had offshore back into this system here because of the tax implications have gone down. And he himself, who is progressive, he's on the liberal side, but he himself said this would not have happened had this tax bill had not gone through. We would have kept our money over wherever they keep it.
Yeah. No, I mean, everybody agrees that making sure that American corporations that are earning profits here from selling products to us are paying their fair share of tax. And we had a really serious problem in that regard. Many of our largest corporations, like for instance Verizon, paid literally zero tax for years. But this tax bill was the wrong way to go about solving that problem. Because what this tax bill does is it singles out Californians for punitive treatment. And so by eliminating and reducing the ability of Californians to deduct their state and local taxes, this bill is going to fall harder on us than it is on other Americans. And it's going to hurt. It's going to be a shock to people's pocketbook. My own employer, the University of California, sent out an email to the entire staff warning us that we were probably not withholding enough tax given the tax bill, that they believed a lot of us would face a shock to our pocketbook come April because of that. So I know when I did my taxes, I looked at how much I was able to deduct for state and local taxes. And that amount's going to be curbed. And I'm going to pay a higher tax bill next year, and so are a lot of our Orange County families. And our state and local taxes are going to things that we care about. They're things that are closest to us, to our schools, which is a tremendous source of pride for us here in Orange County. And so I think this tax plan is not just bad in terms of how it's going to fall on families, but also the effect on the deficit. This tax bill balloons our deficit at a time when our economy is going strong, and we should be able to start tackling reducing the deficit. This is an absolute backwards bill in my mind.
Okay, let's talk about schools, public education, and let's talk about two topics here in the time that we have. One is we're talking about now K through 12 and charter schools, and then we'll get on to, if we have time, the cost of higher learning. But what is your take on that? A lot of families like the ability to have a choice of maybe a charter school. Some are very good, some are a little shady. We have charter schools obviously in this area. I know you live in Irvine, and I think your district does.
Nope.
Oh, okay. All right. Saddleback Unified and Capel both have charter schools. So how do you look at that?
Yeah, so what I think we're seeing is a real change in what we mean by charter school. So the original idea of a charter school was something like our Orange County School for the Arts, which is a wonderful institution that has served generation of students. It came out of a group of parents and educators wanting to provide a kind of specialized educational opportunity, and that I celebrate. What we're seeing going on right now, though, across the state of California, across the country, under Betsy DeVos's actions, is an effort to sell out our students to shareholders. So there is a huge difference between the kind of historic charter school, like the Orange County School for the Arts, and these for-profit charter schools. A for-profit institution, by definition, is going to be focused on the bottom line, not on our students' learning. And so I think the fact that we're seeing these charter schools pop up only in areas that are where the student population has the most special needs kids, where the school system is shakiest, is a real sign that they're exploiting the most vulnerable students. And so I think that our public schools do a wonderful job. You can look around, you mentioned Capo, you mentioned Saddleback, Irvine, Tustin. These are wonderful school systems. And when we invest in them, those teachers and the staff work day and night to make sure our students get a competitive education and so that they can go on to college or whatever comes next. So I'm a proud public school parent.
Well, I'm a proud public school parent and a proud husband of a 5th grade teacher. So there you go. We got like 30 seconds left, so I'm going to let you kind of say what you want. And you know, you're here to promote yourself and your candidacy, and we're happy that you could come on.
No, we're so proud of the campaign that we've built against Mimi Walters. Thrilled to have the support of California leaders like Senator Kamala Harris and former Orange County Congresswoman Loretta Sanchez, among others. Our website is katieporter.com if there are issues that you want to learn about that we didn't get to today. And most importantly, we'd just be honored to have everyone vote on June 5. It would really mean a lot to me to have people consider my candidacy and support me.
All right, great to have you on. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much. And remember, it's easy, katieporter.com. There you go. We'll be right back.